let's see how this thing works. So YouTube added the functionality to just go live on YouTube from your phone. I've been waiting for that, but I think it came out a while ago. But it got cold, so I couldn't really go outside and use it. But now it's finally warm enough to go outside, and so I can make videos and do live, which is what I wanted to do last year with Lunch with Scott, but they didn't have the live functionality then. But now they have it, so I need stuff to talk about though. So for the test episode here, we're going to talk about this fidget cube. Right? So I kickstarted this thing, and it finally showed up after a very long wait. There have been a lot of things I've kickstarted that eventually showed up. A lot of people don't have faith. They kickstart something, it takes like a year or two, and then they're like, oh my god, it's not coming, screw this. But this eventually showed up, so here it is. The fidget cube is just a cube. It doesn't do anything. It's just something to fidget with, right? So I fidget a lot. If I, at work, I'll be writing stuff down, doodling or whatever, or biting fingernails, or who knows what. So the fidget cube, hopefully the idea is you fidget with this instead of fidgeting with something else. So on one side, this is the most boring side. It has nothing. It just has this little indentation. But the indentation is actually kind of nice. You just sort of put your thumb in there, like, it kind of feels good. Like, it's just something to feel. It's not a useless side, right? It's pretty good. The next side, this is I think actually the most boring side, but not useless, is the switch. All it does is flick back and forth. So, it feels kind of nice to flick back and forth. It makes a little annoying kind of click sound. I use this side probably the least of all the sides, but it's not actually bad. It's still kind of okay. This side, right, with the buttons, everyone loves pushing buttons, right? It's like, yeah, pushing buttons, that's real good. But actually, these buttons are all completely unique, right? So the red button doesn't have any sort of click to it. It just sort of, it's like a mushy kind of button. The green button is also mushy, but the green button is a little stiffer than the red button. The red button mushes easily. The green button kind of mushes stiffly, right? These three buttons are clicky buttons. The middle one only has a little bit of travel, and it clicks like a little bit, like click, click, click. The yellow one is much stiffer, right, at clicking. And I think the blue one is even stiffer, right? So you have three clicky buttons with varying levels of clickiness going on, right? So I push the buttons a lot. I'm not sure which button I like the most. They're all pretty good. I end up switching between them, and one feels better than another, so I change it up. Alright, we did those three sides. So you have this side. This side is basically a gamepad. It's an analog stick from a Nintendo 3DS, right? The Nintendo 3DS analog stick doesn't poke out and move around like you think. It's just a slidey disc, right? See, it's not raised up, but you can slide it pretty much any direction in a circle, right? It's just a Nintendo 3DS gamepad without any electronic parts. So, you kind of move it around, whatever. It's okay. It's not bad. It's more fun than the switchy part, but I think it's probably the second. Neither one of these parts are as good as even the blank part, right? The blank part feels nicer than the switchy part or the shifty part, but every side of this gets some use, right? It's strangely how overall addicting the entire cube is, and how much you keep fidgeting with it and you don't get tired of all of it, So even these boring sides like the switch and the shift part, they give you a break from getting bored from the other sides, which are more interesting, right? Okay, so this side is way fun. All it is a spinner, right? It spins in both directions, and it clicks as it spins, like little tiny clicks, like almost like at a zip tie, right? Plastic going like a zipper. It has lots of little clicks all the way around. You can spin it in both directions, right? And this is real good, spinning it around both ways, right? Oh, that feels real good. It's way good. Yeah, this part is definitely one of the better parts of the fidget cube, right? I love spinning the spinner. And it has this little tiny raised bit, so you can get your traction on there, right? If it was just completely flat, it would be, you can still spin it with friction from the flat part, but it's much easier to grab onto the little raised dot area. Okay. So we only got one other side left, I believe. Yep, yeah. Okay, and that is this side. This side might be, it's like the best and the worst at the same time, right? So as a whole, this side is better than, the shifter and the switcher. But actually, these yellow clicky parts are probably the worst part of the whole thing altogether, right? It's like, I think there's a difference between them, but not much. They're kind of not really great. Like doing them all like together like this is okay, but like individually they're kind of like whatever, right? And the real problem with them is that this ball is sort of in the way. It's like you can't interact with these without messing with the ball in some way. If these were on their own side, and then maybe they were a little different, they'd be more exciting. But yeah, they're not so great. The thing is, this side is saved by the ball, right? The ball is probably the number one thing on here, my favorite thing on here at all, completely. So it's a metal ball, like whoa, and it spins, wee, right? So spinning this thing is like the best. It's metal feels luxurious, right? It's not some plastic like the rest of this thing. It's like, oh yeah, spin that metal ball. You can. Oh, it feels so good, and it sort of like massages your finger muscle a little bit because it's all hard, right? There's also a hidden feature of the metal ball is that you can press on it, like click, 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 right, click. Yeah, it has double purpose. I didn't discover that until like using it for an hour, right? I accidentally pushed the metal ball in and it clicked, and I was like, whoa, bonus feature. So I would have liked to see maybe get rid of these gears and then have one big metal ball, right? It's like huge. That would have been so good. But yeah, it's the metal ball is still the best part, right? Maybe make one with like a bunch of metal balls, like the metal ball special. That would have been good. So anyway, so overall, right? I know there's a lot of knockoffs of this thing online that you can get, but I haven't tried them. I don't know if they are better than the original, but this is the original real deal. See, it says Fidget Cube right here. I got it from the Kickstarter. If you fidget a lot and you want to fidget, less destructively or more variedly, or level up your fidget game in general, stop wasting paper doodling or whatever, I highly recommend buying one of these. Maybe I have one, so I end up carrying it around with me everywhere. Maybe it would have been better to get more, have one at work, have one at home, and then I wouldn't have to carry them with me. But I just keep this one in my bag always, so I have it all the time. It's super durable. I've only had it for a few days, so I don't want to make any durability claims just yet. But I get like these buttons are still just as clicky as they were out of the box, and I've pushed them a ton. I spun the ball a whole bunch, and it's just as spinny as it was out of the box. Like, it's effectively still brand new, even though it's 3 days old. So I can imagine that this is going to last an extremely long time before any of these parts break or stop functioning or stop doing what they're supposed to do, and I'd have to buy a new one, right? So, I don't know. You basically just have to assume, right, that the cheaper knockoff ones are not going to be as solid. I saw at least one knockoff one where the analog stick was actually raised on a stick, and it's like, man, that's going to snap off, right? This one, unless you put like a string and get underneath there and try to pull on it. All right, that's going to be a problem. So yeah, that's the Fidget Cube. That's also the first of, hopefully we'll see how many live with Scott using my phone things, thanks to YouTube, that we can do. We'll probably stop them even if they're really popular in the winter, because when the hell am I going to do it? Right? I'm not going to go outside in the cold or do this in my office. I'm also going to see how much bandwidth is used from my phone. If I run out of phone bandwidth, I'm not going to be doing this without any Wi-Fi. So yeah, that's the Fidget Cube. Tomorrow, we'll find something else to talk about. And now, we're about 10 minutes. Thank you, live timer. 10 minutes is about how long I wanted to make this. So I guess it's back to work for me, and depending on where you live, back to work for you too.